Welcome to another OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Riverwind Casino. My name is Brandon Drumm. I'm here with Parker Thune, and we're going to talk recruiting. We're probably going to just talk football, a little basketball maybe.
Do we want to talk basketball?
That was so
Does
bad.
anybody want to hear our opinions on this basketball thing?
They are inconsistent.
Especially with the knowledge that Jeremiah Fears is banged up.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that part. Yeah, is he out?
Unclear right now.
Fantastic.
Unclear right now as to whether he's going to play tomorrow. And I do believe this morning our man Brody Lusk posted the latest on that whole situation at OUinsider.com because, as always, he is on top of all things OU hoops.
Correct. 100%. Well, all right. Let's pay homage to our sponsors real quick, and then we can move on and talk about recruiting. OU recruiting. There's a lot of stuff. Official visits are starting to get set up. There's a March 1st and March 8th Junior Day. There is quite a bit going on actually in recruiting. So we're going to talk about that. A lot of really good players that Oklahoma's in on. So, I mean, just you would think 6 and 7, that wouldn't happen, Parker, but they're Oklahoma. So they get a little bit more leeway than most other people that go 6 and 7. So, all right, let's talk about it real quick. And then let's move on and talk about some recruiting.
Okay, sweet. Folks, this podcast is brought to you today and every day by the great folks at Riverwind Casino. Sooner fans, you deserve the ultimate gaming experience, and Riverwind Casino has been the Metro's premier gaming destination for over 18 years with over 28 electronic games, table games, bars, and dining options, plus the best live music in the Metro. It's no surprise that Riverwind is always a good time. Also want to give a shout out to Prize Picks for their partial sponsorship of the show. And guess what? The Super Bowl is coming up on Sunday. And as the Super Bowl arrives, Prize Picks has a special deal just for you. Your big game free pick is live on Prize Picks right now. Their over-under on Patrick Mahomes' passing yards is 0.5. So as long as Patrick Mahomes gets one passing yard in the Super Bowl, you're going to be a winner on Prize Picks. Now, Prize Picks, of course, is the best place to get real money sports action. You can win up to 1,000 times the money that you put in on Prize Picks, which now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed when you download the app today and use code OU Insider to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, code OU Insider will get you $50 immediately upon playing your first $5 lineup. So run your game this playoff season with Prize Picks.
All right, let's talk a little recruiting, Parker.
Sure, let's do it.
What is on your mind to start off with that? Let's go where do you want to start?
What's becoming really, really interesting to me, and perhaps the most prominent early storyline with this class, is who winds up in the wide receiver group.
Yeah. Wow.
How many does Oklahoma take? From what I can tell, the answer is probably 4 from what I've gleaned. And if they take 4, who are those 4? Because, and Emmett Jones always does this, and it's remarkable that he can do it year after year after year, but he casts a wide net for himself. Right now, though, you got a bunch of really, really talented wideouts in the net. It doesn't feel like Oklahoma's going to have to go down the board or expand the board at any point with how many of these top wideouts in the nation that they're in really, really good shape with. They land a commitment from Daniel Odom last week, kind of out of nowhere. He had just visited, but that's not the type of player that you just expect to, check in on some Tuesday afternoon and boom, you pull up your Twitter feed and that kid just committed to Oklahoma. It didn't feel like that was going to come to an end as quickly as it did, but credit to Emmett and the Sooners and Jaden O'Neal as well for working quickly to get Odom on board and capitalizing on the strong momentum that came out of his unofficial visit. You look at the rest of the board, though. Alger Miles is a guy that's been high on the priority list for Oklahoma for a long, long time. Mason James, right up the road at Norman North, who I think is one of the most slept on players in the entire country. From a rankings perspective, certainly he's not slept on by schools across the nation because he's got just about every big time offer you could want. Jabari Brady from Coconut Creek, Florida, squarely in the mix. You have Jaden Warren down at Iowa Colony High School in the Houston area. Davian Gross, a national top 50 player from Frisco Lone Star High School, teammate of OU commit Ryder Mix. There's Zion Robinson at Mansfield, a guy that Emmett Jones was very early to the table with, and that I do believe in the industry composite is something like a top 150, top 200 player. So there are a lot of different directions that Emmett and Oklahoma could go with this wide receiver class. I'm really just interested to see who they have to say no to, because it feels like they're probably going to have
Yeah.
to say no to somebody at some point.
I kind of feel like Mason James has got like an automatic opening
Oh, yeah.
uh,
You
in
don't say
his.
no to that
Yeah.
kid
Yeah.
for multiple reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't, yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense to say no to him. Yeah, Jabari Brady is up there. I he's posting a lot about Oklahoma lately, and that's the interesting part. Because when I talked to him, he wasn't on Oklahoma's top 10 list, or Oklahoma wasn't on his top 10 list, excuse me. And that to me is crazy because he just showed up because his boys Daniel Odom and Jaden O'Neal were visiting Oklahoma, and Jaden and Daniel talked him into going with them. And the next thing you know, I'm talking to him when he's at the Will Rogers Airport. Like, so Jaron O'Neal had called me, and he just like lined up all. They were all together, and he just let me interview all of them at once. And um, he goes, you know what? Like, they weren't in my top 10. I wouldn't even think they would be in my top 5 to start. He goes, but they are now. Like, they are now. Like, I'm gonna take an official visit, and that I think to me that speaks more volumes to Oklahoma when they get guys on campus, because generally that's great. They're great at building relationships and doing all that. But when families and kids get to campus, how often do they walk away and go, yeah, you know what? I don't want to come back. Like, that just doesn't happen very often. They do such a good job of selling themselves and selling the program when they get them on campus. And I think that's something BV is very, very cognizant of, because he doesn't like to take a lot of guys that don't take visits. Or, like, let's say they offer a kid, and if you're not going to take a visit to start, they're not going to accept your commitment, because he wants you to see everything they're about. And they do such a good job there, and they did a great job with Jabari Brady, who is a top 100 player, Parker. Like, overall, top 100 player overall. Um yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Jaden Warren's there, like you said, and Oklahoma just is in a fantastic spot for him as well. They're in the same type of predicament with defensive tackle, by the way. Just it's weird. Um, you and I were talking about that last night on the phone. Like, what are they going to do? How many are they going to take?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many D linemen are they going to take? You got a defensive end, Jake Krell, who Oklahoma leads for, and he's one of the best. Overton, right? Um, I mean, at Owasso and Oklahoma, you would expect Oklahoma and Todd Bates to land him,
Yeah,
and
Taj Overton feels like one of those guys that for so many reasons you have to have. You
yeah,
know,
you have to have him.
being in state, be in a position. Well, I wouldn't call it a position of need right this second, but certainly a position where Oklahoma is going to need to reload
Yes,
beyond
and,
this year.
and then on top of that, obviously you've got Tavion Branch, who's gonna visit again, right? This will be visit number 2, and he's got I think his officials already set for June 6th through the eighth. Um, but my point is that that is before Deuce Gerald's, and obviously Deuce Gerald's in Oklahoma. They're battling Ohio State. It's Oklahoma, Ohio State, kind of at the top right there. Um, but it doesn't stop there. I mean, you got Ti, the defensive end slash defensive lineman out of California, who is it's Oklahoma, Oregon, right? Like for him, I'm trying to think everybody off the top of my head here, Parker, who they're just like in a fantastic spot for. But there's like five or six that you're sitting there going,
Yeah, well, and
like,
another guy, I think you did might have skipped your mind in that whole conversation is Kamarian Johnson from the
oh
state of
my gosh,
Alabama.
Kamarian
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah, we talked
Another-
about him last night. Yeah, like there's like we just named six guys, and that's just scratching the surface of what Bates and Chavis have done in this 26 class. We talked about how good the 24 class was. They only got like, obviously, Chavis took multiple guys in 2025, right? But I think it's starting to look like the even years are going to be Oklahoma's best years at defensive tackle. Generally, because it's got that separation from the big year of 2024. So 26 is going to be a really talented class. And I'm not demeaning, I'm talking numbers
yeah.
in 25, right? They just didn't take a lot. So obviously 27, you're probably not going to take as many, but you will in 2020, or excuse me, yeah, in 26 you'll take 27. You won't take as many. 28 you will take more. Um, so I think fans can start expecting that. Obviously, that's also dependent on attrition, right? Who leaves, who stays, who's upset, all that type of stuff. NIL, whatever. But I think that's the plan. It's kind of like quarterback, right? Like you want to get to where you can take one every year, but you don't need to take a superstar every year. You need to take somebody that's going to come in and be that consistent backup guy that may develop into a superstar. You don't know, but you don't have to take that big time guy when you've got your star, every other year. So and at quarterback, it's always a 4-star instead of a 5-star, right? That's kind of where I'm getting at. But yeah, I'm interested at defensive tackle just because I think the D line and O line, Parker, are just major focal points in 2026. They have to be. Like you've got to continue to build on to that the trenches because you're in the SEC.
Yeah.
And you wrote about a couple of O linemen, right? Like here just
Yeah,
recently.
the O-line options to me, Brandon, like this is another class where it's good to have a need at that particular group because of how many options abound, especially across the region. Like if this is a year where you're going to be able to build a satisfactory O-line class and you don't necessarily have a recruitment or two that your entire class hinges on, like this is that type of cycle for Bill
Yeah.
Bedenbaugh and Oklahoma, especially when you look at the interior. This is perhaps the deepest class of interior offensive linemen in the Mid-South that I can recall, Brandon. You could go back a decade, if not longer, and you probably wouldn't find this deep of a class of interior offensive linemen. I mean, one guy that we've talked about extensively on OU Insider that has an OU official visit scheduled, and the Sooners are pretty much just battling Missouri and SMU there is Noah Best from Midlothian,
Is
Texas,
deeper than
originally.
2022?
What's that?
Deeper than 2022?
I would say so.
Ooh, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, really, all these schools in the Mid South, they're not going to come up empty because of the options that abound. I mean, you just think about the
Wow.
guys that Oklahoma is in on. Forget the guys that uh, haven't necessarily reciprocated the love or that are studs within the region just for whatever reason. Not really super high on Oklahoma or Oklahoma's not super high on them. You just think about the guys that Oklahoma's in on. Noah Best, Pupungatoa Katoa from Euless Trinity,
You had to show off there. Good job.
Drew Evers, Nick's little brother from Flower Mound, Texas. He can play tackle, but probably projects best to guard. I think that seems to be the consensus opinion among
Yep.
coaches that I've talked to. Um, you look at and tackle. Tackle. You have options. You don't have nearly as many options within the region, but you have solid options outside the region, certainly. A couple of Colorado guys come to mind in Deacon Schmidt and Cannon Smith. Carter Scruggs from the state of Virginia is a guy with some OU ties that the Sooners have been in heavily with for some time now. But looking at that interior offensive line group in particular, the names I mentioned, Evers, Katoa, Best, you already have one commit in Will Conroy. You got Pulele Ite Primus out in Midland. You got Max Robinson up there in Derby, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you want to go outside the region, look at another guy that has an official visit set to Oklahoma for the Champ U barbecue, mind you. How about Chancellor Barkley from the state of Florida?
And Oklahoma's in a surprisingly good spot with him. I got to know Chance a little bit at the camp, and his uncle coach. I don't know how to describe him. Really good guy though. Um, and they made it clear there that the official visit was going to happen. I
And
mean,
it will. And
straight up.
it's
Yeah.
the barbecue. Like
Yeah.
that right there is always a good sign because when you're OV into Oklahoma for the barbecue, Brandon, you
Yep.
look at the you look at the lists for that event, the guys that have taken official visits for the barbecue over the past few years, especially since Venables and this staff got to town. Oklahoma's got a pretty high hit rate with the uncommitted dudes that show up to OV for the Champ
It's
U barbecue.
80% plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's not 100%. Like it's not like they land
Yeah.
everybody that OVs for the barbecue. But the point is, you're visiting for that weekend in particular. That demonstrates that you have a very high degree of interest in Oklahoma, and it's legitimate and it's real, and OU knows it, and they reciprocate that interest because
Yep.
otherwise, they just have you visit for some other random week or not visit at all.
Very, very true. But yeah, they hit on about 4 out of 5, which is really good. Like when you look at like just, and again, I think that's what I was saying earlier. I think that's kind of the biggest point I was trying to make was they do such a fantastic job when they get these guys on campus. Like it is quite remarkable when these kids get even unofficial visits. Like again, Tavion Branch has a Penn State offer. Penn State is after him. Penn State, Rutgers, um, and Oklahoma. And Rutgers, and everybody hears that name Rutgers, but let me tell you something. Every recruit that Oklahoma is in on that I've talked to in the Northeast that has a Rutgers offer is taking an official visit to Rutgers. They're doing a really good job. They're putting the money together. They're starting to do the things that you would expect them to do, considering who their head coach is. I mean, he's done it before there. He knows what he's doing, right? Like so um I just you can't look at that and go, "Oh, it's Rutgers." No, this is NIL era. Like Rutgers is going to be a player. There's a lot of rich people that live in that region that donate to that university and they want them to be successful in football. Um but yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had to pick right now, Tavion Branch would be in the 26th class.
Really?
Yes.
OU over Penn State for a Pennsylvania kid. I mean, it's happened
Yeah.
before. It's not
It
without
has happened before.
precedent.
Yeah, but and I know fans scoff at that or whatever that I'm saying that, but I don't say that lightly. Like I've been talking to the kid for the last 2 weeks. His affinity for Oklahoma far supersedes affinity for almost every other university. The reason why is a little wild, but I mean, you and I talked about that last night. I don't want to get into that because I don't remember still, but it's kind of funny. So, but whatever. Yeah, like it's funny in like a really cool way though. Like it is very cool how Oklahoma's approached his recruitment. Um, and he can't be any more excited than his March visit coming up. So, hey, before we get into more recruiting, Parker, let me uh, thank one more sponsor, Refine You Med Spa, Oklahoma City. Guys, females, anybody that's listening, you got wives, your husbands, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, anybody that's trying to lose weight. If you got a wife that is trying to, they want to tighten up their face, get the, the dermal fillers, the um anything that's going to tighten up their face. It'll help with weight loss. They do a lot of body helping out your stomach area, all that type of stuff. Oklahoma City Med Spa has been the number one, voted number one med spa in Oklahoma City for the 5 consecutive years by 405 magazine. Uh, they do not sell procedures, they sell results. So whether you're looking to lose weight, whether you're looking to, maybe fix some part of your body that you feel uncomfortable in that mid region, right? They will come and help you, whether you've got, you know, skin marks that you want removed, they can do that as well. Achieving a healthy weight can be challenging to do on your own, but you're not alone. The skilled team at Refine You Med Spa offers treatments that complement weight loss goals and long-term weight loss support, so you achieve a weight that supports good health and self-esteem. You can achieve your ideal look and feel. Refine U's state of the art practices offers a diverse selection of aesthetic treatments, providing services that benefit every body shape and skin type. Again, go to Refine You. They are the best. You can contact them, Refine You, OKC.com, or 405-849-5391 to book an appointment. Again, Refine You, OKC Med Spa. All right, real quickly. What about linebacker, Parker?
See, that one's interesting. And that board is still very obviously taking shape because Nate Dreiling is what, a week on the job. And so I think there's a lot there that remains to be seen. A couple names I'm watching in particular. One would be Bo Jandro from the state of Arizona, a guy that got the Oklahoma offer, I believe, shortly after Dreiling was hired. Not from Dreiling, but from James Skalski, who has evidently been given quite a degree of latitude in the recruiting game, which you'd expect. He obviously has the trust of Brent Venables, and it seems to be a very collaborative effort with that linebacker staff as a whole, which is a pretty expansive staff between Venables and Wes Goodwin and Dreiling and James Skalski now. But that's a guy that has said he's going to visit Oklahoma this spring. You look at the offer sheet, OU and Oregon certainly stand out above the rest.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get out and see both schools. So that's one I'll be keeping an eye on. Another one, and he doesn't even have an offer yet, but just posted about him pretty extensively the other night on OUinsider.com. Nate Dreiling was only at Arkansas State for 4 weeks. But in those 4 weeks, one of the local studs that he became very, very acquainted with, Braxton Lindsey from Rogers, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
He's got 20 plus offers right now. Oklahoma's not one of them yet, but there's been contact between OU and Lindsey in recent days. It feels like that offer is going to come to fruition at a certain point. And if and when it does, Oklahoma immediately, to me, becomes the top contender in that race.
What do you think Arkansas is a huge player there? Like, obviously being from Rogers, like, will it be hard to pull him out of there?
uh, Brandon, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for Arkansas to keep him home, knowing some of the things that I know about how
Fair
that
enough.
recruitment has unfolded. Because suffice to say that there were some mistakes made there.
Interesting. Yeah, the Arkansas deal is weird with Oklahoma, right? Because they keep taking the top players from them. Like you would expect. Okay, I lived there from 2006 to 2009. Wait, 2000. That's yeah, 2005 to 2009. No, 2006, 2009. Right out of college. And so I was there for about 4 years. And I got to tell you, at that point in time, there's zero chance anybody was pulling anybody. Outside of, I think Auburn got running back in like 2008. He was the number one running back in the country out of Little Rock. and he actually won the game for him in the national title with um, Cam Newton when he rolled over the top of the guy and they didn't think he was. I can't remember his name now.
Michael
But
Dyer.
Michael Dyer, that's right. Um, but yeah, dude, nobody hardly took anybody out of the state of Arkansas, and if they left, they always returned. Um, Now it feels like Oklahoma, LSU, and Alabama just kind of walk in and say, "You're coming with us." Lately, that's Sam Pittman wants to keep his job. Yeah, they ended up doing better last year, but he's got to shut that state down, dude. And losing a dude from a top linebacker from Rogers, literally 10 minutes from Fayetteville, Parker. How how is that happening? How is Oklahoma doing this?
Well, okay.
Brandon Hall, number one, but outside of that,
To be clear, I think it has less to do with Oklahoma and more to do with Arkansas, if I'm being frank.
well, that's
And
fair.
like, consider this. There's a video. I don't know if you saw this or not. I was surprised it didn't make more noise on the internet than it did. There's a video that was circulating probably about 3 weeks ago of an in-state offensive lineman, I believe in the 2027 class, that got the Arkansas offer. It was his dream offer, right? He shows up to campus like a week and a half later and commits.
Mm-hmm.
And the video is of him. It's a video of him telling Sam Pittman that he's committing to Arkansas. And so he stands up in this room full of recruits. They're meeting, they're going through the presentation or whatever. He walks up and he tells Sam Pittman, I want to commit to the University of Arkansas. Sam Pittman has no idea who the guy is. None whatsoever. He's like, what's your name? Where are you from? And so obviously, like, they wound up taking his commitment.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
they wound up
I gotta
taking
go
his.
look at this.
Oh, I'll have to go figure out. I can't remember the kid's name. But like that right there, if it's somebody that you haven't offered, if it's just some kid that showed up to the junior day because he's an in-state kid and you want to make sure as many in-state kids that can play at the Division 1 level get the opportunity to visit Arkansas and kind of develop that awe for the program if it isn't
Mhm.
already there, which it is for a lot of Arkansas kids. If it's just some random dude, I get it. I get not knowing who he is. But if it's a kid that has a committable offer from the University of Arkansas, especially one that's in
In
state,
state.
Brandon, you would think your head ball coach would know who the kid is. But that right there kind of illustrates the current predicament for Arkansas because I have heard a lot of stories that are strikingly similar to that, where they're just kind of out of touch with recruits in their own state.
That is just insanity. They hired him because he knew that area. From Grove, Oklahoma, a hop, skip, and a jump across the border.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Um, I gotta find that video, man. You gotta send
I'll
it to
find
me.
it and I'll send it to you.
I'm over here like searching the world for it right now on Twitter. Um, yeah, that's crazy. I think do you worry about cornerback at Oklahoma at all? I mean,
Do I
people are
worry
worried about
about cornerback?
linebacker, but are you worried about cornerback at all?
I'm really not, and that's because this is a class where I think Oklahoma will probably try to take two. They could get away with only taking one, Brandon, because they're
I
young and they're
agree.
deep. Like they've taken three in each of the last two cycles. 2024, they took Davon Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb, and why am I spacing?
Okay,
Davon Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb,
Tristan
and
Haynes.
no, no,
You
no,
took
no, no,
you took it
2024.
2024. Um,
I'm just completely.
Hold on. I
It's
got you.
gone. It's not
No,
there.
no, I got you. I got you. I got you.
It's Jeremiah Newcomb, Davon Jordan, and for whatever reason, the space in my mind is just blank.
Dude, you're getting in your mid 20s. It starts to happen when you got a
I
lot
I
going on.
guess I'm losing it early.
You said Devon Jordan. You said Jeremiah Newcomb.
Yeah, Davon Jordan, Jeremiah Newcomb, and there was a
You're
third.
gonna you're gonna hate yourself.
I probably will, Brandon.
No, I mean seriously, hate yourself. I'm sitting here thinking about it.
Oh, it's so because I don't even think of him
Does
as
a
a
dude? Does
freshman.
a
That's
dude? Does a
why.
dude?
That's why.
Eli Bowen.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, wow.
You need to go take some
Oh man.
L-theanine, and then your face froze.
Yeah, I
By the
know.
way,
Now I'm frozen on the
that's
on
a
the.
great freeze, man. Hope everybody's seeing this. This is hilarious.
Oh
If you're
man.
not watching it, you're missing out. This is funny. Yeah, you need to go get some L-theanine, man. Get that brain popping. I do too. Uh, my poor daughter has RSV, and I
The
haven't
best
slept
best
in like
excuse
three
I can
days.
make there is that it doesn't feel like Eli Bowen
It
was a
doesn't. That's
freshman
true.
this
I
past
thought
year.
I
Like,
because
I'm thinking of guys that would be like fifth, sixth, seventh on the depth chart right now. Like, who else is there? Davon Newcomb, and oh, you got to go all the way back to the top
yeah, no,
because Eli Bowen was arguably the Sooners' best cornerback as a true freshman.
yeah, no, I whenever it hit me, like I was starting, I literally went to go click on the commits. And I was like, I don't even need to do it because I remember now. And the reason I remembered was I was like, well, there was two freshmen All American,
Uh-huh.
and one of them was a corner. So, but yeah, I the reason I ask that is because corner was kind of the weak spot of the defense last year.
It was. Yeah, I think you had a lot of guys that weren't really ready yet,
No, that's
and
fair.
and Jacoby Johnson, of course, was engaged in the whole two-way experiment, which
And Gentry will be back this year, which people are going to question his health. I wouldn't, um, just because we've talked about he wasn't hurt this year because of his body breaking down. He was hurt because they never fixed what he originally got hurt.
yeah.
So, wah, wah, wah.
Mhm. But
Yep.
anyway, to close the loop on my original thought, you took three in the 2024 class: Jeremiah Newcomb, Davon Jordan, and Eli freaking Bowen.
Yep.
And then in the 2025 class, obviously Tristan Haynes, Cortland Guillory, Malik Hawkins. Um, so you are six deep with dudes that short of Bowen. Well, and I guess Jordan didn't redshirt either, but six
Is that
deep
a
with dudes
short
right now
joke? Is
that
that
have
what
at
you're short
least
of Bowen?
no. Uh,
That's what people are going to say, by the way.
yeah. Well, what I was going to say was he's the only guy, but then I thought Davon Jordan didn't redshirt either. So you got two guys with 3 years of eligibility, four guys with all 4 years of eligibility going into this season.
Hmm.
So you're young, you're deep, you're talented at that spot, and I think it would be tough to take three even if you wanted to because of how much youth and depth there is at that spot. So I like here's what I think. I think if there's a world in which Oklahoma could coax Brandon Arrington into the class, the 5-star defensive back from the state of California, they'd probably call it good, right? Like,
He's visiting again for like
yes,
the
he
fourth
is.
time in a
Yes, he
year.
is. I believe it's
Is
the
it fifth,
second
fourth,
time.
or no? He came during a game this year too. He
I
came
don't
during a
believe he
junior
did.
day. Did he not make it?
I don't think so. No. I think
Okay, he
the
was
only
on the
time he's
list
been here
multiple
before,
times.
yeah, was for the junior day last summer. So it'll be his second visit to Oklahoma. Um, the Sooners are in that one, but so too is Texas A&M, which has kind of been considered, or I don't know if they're still considered the outright leader. They're the buzz was on A&M at one point in that recruitment. Nebraska is heavily involved.
Hmm.
Oregon, as you would expect, USC, but the Sooners have a shot there and a pretty good shot. Better than you might expect for a 5-star defensive player from the state of California. If you can pull that one off, then great. If not, I mean, you
He's one I think they'll pay for. As far as NIL, I think they'll throw good
exactly,
money at. Yeah,
exactly, because he is a premium athlete,
yeah.
one of the best track athletes in the country as well.
Mm.
A guy that wants to run track collegiately, and so
Mm. That could hurt Oklahoma.
yes, it could. Typically, they don't have a great history with track guys.
No. Baseball, yes. Basketball, yes. Track, nope. They
Hmm.
used to back in the day, man. They used to get all those stuff, top track guys. Bob Stoops when he first got to Oklahoma, Jawan Rankins. There was a couple other guys I can't think of off the top of my head that
Jawan
were,
Rankins. That's a blast
yeah,
from the past.
that came in and they were top wide receivers and like elite track guys. And eventually they just, I believe Marcus Pugh, who was a track guy at Oklahoma, a speed guy. Obviously, Marcus Pugh, right? In Tulsa. There's like several guys that they could, you know, double dip. And obviously, Marcus never played football at Oklahoma. He ended up just running track. But the fact of the matter is that he would have done both if, he had the time to do it. So, and that's the thing is like they cross so much that it's really hard for them to do both. If they were going to get it, I I I'm interested in the safeties just because Brandon Hall has done such a fantastic job recruiting safeties, and he keeps bringing in elite guys like every year. You got Wimberly, obviously, and Man Amarin Robinson in 2025, right? And Man with Rivals is ranked really high. He's top 100 guy. Marcus Wimberly is a 4-star. And then obviously in 24, he brought in like what, four elite dudes, three elite dudes? Was it three? And in 2023, obviously a couple elite dudes headlined by Peyton Bowen. 2022, you got RSJ, right? Like, so that room is just stacked. Um, the odd part is if I was going to, and it's going to be hard to get this kid out of Missouri, mind you, but I think they're pushing the hardest for Jacob Everhart.
Okay.
He's a 3-star, and people are going to look at that, oh, 3-star, blah. No, no,
I
this
think what we've
kid,
learned over the years is that if Brandon Hall wants a 3-star, odds are he's not actually a 3-star.
bingo, that's where I was about to go. 6'3", 210 out of Kirkwood, Missouri. And his offer list for a 3-star, Parker, I'm just going to throw it out there to everybody. Ole Miss, Missouri, Oklahoma, Oregon, Penn State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Kentucky, um, LSU, Kansas State, Florida State, Arkansas. So like, and these are committable. Like these programs, I know for a fact are pushing very hard for Eberhard. The most interesting one out of all of them, though, because of his family's connection to Oklahoma State, is Braden Presley out of
Mm,
Bigsby. And he's 6'2", about 190.
good
He plays
athlete.
great athlete. He plays corner for Bigsby and wide receiver, but he's a safety. He's a safety. If you watch him move, like he's not, his hips are, they're safety. They're not a corner. And I know it sounds weird to say, but that's exactly what you look at. His hips and his feet are their safety all the way, and his size. Um, the other part is that Oklahoma has a good chance, and I'm going to just go ahead and throw it out there for everybody. They've got a good chance to flip a Texas A&M commit at this juncture as a safety. Who might that be, Parker?
I'm assuming the prospect in question that you're referencing is one Markel Ford from Horn
Ding,
High
ding,
School.
ding. Yep. Visited again during Oklahoma's junior day uh, last week or 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Um, Parker, anybody you talk to says that that thing's still wide open. Wide open. Like there are people that you talk to down in Dallas, that area, that feel like Oklahoma, he probably ends up at Oklahoma at the end of the day. Which is just crazy, right? Like if you could end up with Ford and or Presley, Ford and or Eberhart. I'm trying to think of somebody else, like who else he's in on. But oh, another player that he is uh, actively in a really good spot for, um, and that would be Caden Hall out of Alabama, Mobile, Alabama.
Nice. Dejon Ackerson. Think he winds up in the class?
He's a nickel though. He's a nickel
Yeah, like
linebacker. I think I would throw
Cheetah.
him under the linebacker. Cheetah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
I'd throw him
that's
in the linebacker area. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of the perfect Cheetah recruit in many ways.
perfect. I'm trying to think of the kid out of Florida,
Not Caden
Miami.
Hall.
Um, Caden Hall. Oh yeah, Caden Hall. Why did I say Mobile, Alabama? Because Brandon Hall went to Mobile, Alabama after going to see Caden Hall. That's why in my
Gotcha.
head. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. To go and he went to go watch obviously Billy Bowman in the Senior Bowl. But yeah, I think they're in a really good spot, man. It's he does a really good job of building relationships with all these kids. So I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're just happy with whoever he gets because has he missed?
I was about to ask the same question. Like when you think about it, who has B Hall missed on?
That's what I mean. I was trying to think. How has he missed? Like,
I, I genuinely think the answer might be no. Like correct us if we're wrong, but looking back at the three classes that he's been a part of now, going on 4, 23,
yeah,
24,
Jaden
25.
Hardy's playing
Yeah.
already. Yeah.
He's gotten basically everybody he's wanted.
Um, no, he's missed a few. 24, they were pushing, it may have been 23,
For
but
whom?
20, I'm finding out right now. Kid from California,
Oh, Matai Tagawai.
Tagawai, yeah, that went to USC, right?
Yeah.
And then 2023, I feel like there was
They never even got Tagawai on campus though, right? So
no,
like
they didn't. They didn't.
I'm thinking
But
like guys that they realistically had a shot at.
Marvin Burks, they missed on Marvin Burks
Did
in
Marvin Burks
2023.
ever visit OU?
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
Marvin
okay.
Burks visited OU. Um, so did who went to Tyler Turner?
I do remember that one. Yep.
Yep. Derek Williams obviously visited Oklahoma and didn't end up at Oklahoma.
I don't. Did we ever
Jalen
talk?
Kilgore was another one. Jalen Kilgore.
Man, I thought he was 22. I thought he came.
No, he's 23.
Okay.
Jordan Castell,
See ya. Jalen Kilgore, and Tyler Turner. I distinctly remember. Yeah, those two are guys Oklahoma wanted and didn't get. So
Ryan Yates. But that was early, like when they first, I was like first over the last two cycles, if he wanted you, he got you.
yeah. Well,
Like,
and quite frankly, like there's not a single guy that you just referenced among that three group of three or
nope,
four in the
he
2023
got the
class that you
right
would rather have
ones.
had than Peyton
Yep.
Bowen.
He got the right ones. Yep. It's weird how that works sometimes. Like you miss out and you're like, yeah, well, it looks like you got the right ones. So I think Marvin Burks is gonna end up being a good player though. I really do. I'm not sure about Tyler Turner. But anyways. All right. I think that's good for this podcast, right?
We're gonna talk so much recruiting
Yeah,
over the
it's
course of the
it's
spring and summer, folks. We're just getting started. Just getting started. So if you like
camps are
recruiting
coming
talk,
up, 7-on-7. It's gonna
yeah,
get wild.
you like recruiting coverage, OUinsider.com is the place to be.
Yep. And this year's class, I expect to be bigger than 2025. You can I would probably put it. What do you think the number would be? 23, 24 this year? Probably. Just within high school. You think? I'm always
Yeah,
real.
that's pro-
I,
that's
I
that's a
always want.
safe range, I think.
Yeah. Okay. And here's why I question even that high. I think it's going to be more than 18 that they took this past cycle.
Oh, easily.
Naturally. They had 81 freshmen and sophomores. They had no room to take a lot of people. It's just with the transfer portal now. Like I think coaches are they're almost skittish with high school a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they'll go let them get developed somewhere else and then go, come grab them when they're. I hate that. I hate where that's headed. That's why I'm glad this is like. I'm glad where this NIL stuff is trending because I think that's going to slow down the transfer portal when everybody starts making similar. You can't just start throwing crap at each other. It's going to take some over the next few years, but like it's getting to that point. I think high school recruiting is going to come back. But it's not down. I think if Oklahoma lands, you still have to build high school up. And I think you see a lot of programs that are falling off fast because they're not doing that. I think Oklahoma's done a good job. I think the unfortunate part for Brent Venables was 2023 was a precursor to what happens when you have to go load up on transfer portals. Because remember, Oklahoma lost so much in 2022 because of Muleshoe leaving, right? And they had to build with wasn't it like 40 something transfers they took that year?
It was a lot of transfers.
Well, guess what happens? They all leave. That's why Oklahoma played a bunch of freshmen and sophomores as they're going in the SEC. It was not ideal. This is where I was talking to a source the other day, and they said Lincoln Riley keeps rearing his head, and they were talking about the roster turnover because Oklahoma had to rebuild through the transfer portal, unfortunately. And guess what? That makes attrition so high. They didn't take, how many did they take this year in the portal? Wasn't it like 13, 14, 15?
I believe final number was 13.
Yeah. They're taking less and less. So I think high school is coming back. It just was going to take time with Oklahoma. They're going to start doing it and building from the base up and develop, which I think OU fans are going to like because that's going to lead to long-term success instead of 10-3, then 6-7 again, if that makes sense. So anyways, all right. We're going to talk about a lot more of that over the next, we got camps. Under Armour's coming up. All the Rivals camps are coming up. Parker and I are going to be on the road. Holy crap. We will split up at 7-on-7s. There's a lot that I'll be at because my kids are playing in the big 7-on-7 events. So I'll be at them, and then Parker will go to another one that's somewhere else that's huge, and we'll have you covered head to toe with so much recruiting information on OU Insider VIP. It's going to be insane. Plus, Under Armour camp's coming up. You got the Atlanta camp this weekend. You got the Dallas camp next weekend, and then after that, Rivals camps are kicking off as well, March 1st. It is going to be a blast if you're on OU Insider and you like recruiting coverage because we're going to have it for you. Plus, the transfer portal's about to open back up here in April, I believe, right? Is it April or May?
April.
It's April, right? April. And then that's going to be fun. You got spring practices in a month. Literally a month, spring football kicks off. So if you love that, if you like softball that just started, if you like baseball, if you like basketball, if you like recruiting, we got you. OU Insider VIP, $9.95 a month, $99.95 for the whole year. If you're a college student, the .edu, email us, ouinsider@rivals.com. We will get back to you with a promo code. Give us a shot. Give us a try. We'll give you OU Insider for a whole year. If you email us from a .edu for $11.95. Same with active duty military. If you email us from your active duty email account, we will send you a promo code. You get OU Insider for a whole year for $11.95. Again, ouinsider@rivals.com from your .edu. It has to be from your .edu. Doesn't matter what college you go to. .edu and active duty military. We love our military people. Thank you guys so much for watching us. That's going to do it. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to whatever podcast platform you're on. But that's going to do it for this version of the OU Insider Under the Visor Sooners podcast, powered by Riverwind Casino. Thank you so much, Riverwind, for sponsoring us. For Parker Thune, my name is Brandon Drumm. You guys have a blessed day.